History education in America is broken. According to a national test given to fourth graders in 2010, elementary school students performed the worst in history out of all 7 of their other subjects. And the problems don't end after elementary school. Texas Tech University students were asked a simple question: who won the Civil War? Answers given included the South and the Confederacy. In 1916, Henry Ford wrote into the Chicago Tribune to say, "History is bunk. We want to live in the present, and the only history that matters is the history that we make today." Ironically, Henry Ford's invention of the assembly line would become famous in the history of invention and progress. To examine how we can fight this growing lack of historical knowledge, we'll dust off an old Ford car to find out which parts need to be replaced, and examine why students have trouble learning and retaining history. Next, we'll read the faded yet reliable manual found in the glove compartment, and figure out why our citizens' lack of knowledge about our past can be harmful, and even dangerous. Finally, we'll finish tuning up the old car, and learn how to make history accessible and interesting to new generations of children. Let's find out which parts of this car need to be repaired. Yahoo News conducted a survey of Americans and found that while 89% of respondents were confident that they could pass a pop history quiz given to them, 83% of those surveyed went on to fail. According to the results, more Americans could identify Michael Jackson as the composer of Beat It than could identify the Bill of Rights as a body of amendments to the Constitution. Are students becoming lazier? Do teachers neglect their duties? One of the key reasons students lack historical knowledge is that the subject doesn't hold their interest. And why would it, when it seems that it's only a bland collection of dates and events that don't really matter? There's a flat tire on this old Ford car, and it's the dull and boring way in which history is being taught. Greg Milo, a veteran high school social studies teacher, agrees. Memorizing names or dates isn't very motivating for most people, he says. We need to patch the tire on this car and fill it with air, and the air in our tires will be valuable context and humanity. Students are taught history in such bland ways that they have no hope of retaining the historical knowledge after their school days are over. They're taught the bare bones facts, but not how people felt during those historical events. They're taught abstract concepts without any emotion or impact behind them. Those who enjoy learning about history enjoy learning about the people involved in history. We don't enjoy learning about faceless armies or opposing ideologies. We want to learn about humans. Here at the Historic Arkansas Museum, we learn about how people lived in their day-to-day lives. History is also considered easy to teach. Many school administrations believe that history does not need to be taught by professionals. Schools hire teachers to teach other subjects, and then simply give them a history class after another teacher quits. I'm sure many of you have had history teachers who were initially hired as physical education or health teachers. The American educational system is already underfunded, and the study of history has been neglected as a result. Like a car battery that must be jump-started, schools need to hire more professional history teachers in order to electrify the curriculum. Many wonder if history is necessary at all. The emphasis on STEM education encourages schools to divert more money to subjects like math and science, and to cut humanities like history. STEM careers pay well and keep society running, so it may be tempted to focus on the present, to think as Henry Ford did, that history is bunk. A lack of knowledge, especially a lack of historical knowledge, can harm us. It's time to take the old Ford car's manual out and read it, cover to cover. Students have heard the phrase, "history repeats itself," in classrooms and lectures, but few seem to understand its importance. America is in the middle of a turbulent period in history, to say the very least. Tensions between political parties are at an all-time high, and many of the people involved in these conflicts lack the historical experience necessary to bring these conflicts to a more peaceful conclusion. This is the old State House. Tensions in there were just as high as tensions are today, as the issue of slavery was hotly contested and debated. If we listen to the lessons of history, we can avoid armed conflict like the Civil War. Widespread historical ignorance is problematic for a nation currently grappling with deeply entrenched issues of economics, power, and race, says Diamari Jackson of the Atlanta Black Star. Martin Luther King, the famous civil rights leader, used his historical knowledge as a basis for his movement. He understood the value of peaceful protest, and knew that as long as he did not incite violence, he could succeed in securing many rights. King could see the value and success of Mahatma Gandhi's peaceful protest, and also knew that in past history, violent protests had ended only in bloodshed. He chose the peaceful method. When we look through the manual of the Ford we're fixing, we'll find a schematic of the car in working order. In other sections, we'll find guides for what to do when things break, run down, or need to be replaced. Historical knowledge gives us the knowledge we need to make peaceful change and prevent conflict. King could place his own movement in the context of past efforts because of his historical knowledge. Students and people who do not understand history will not have context for many current events, and may not make informed decisions about who they listen to and how they behave. Historical knowledge and cultural awareness are the car manual in our minds. When we sense that rights are being ignored or that history is taking a turn for the worse, we can follow the advice of many car manuals and look for a serious problem that requires immediate attention. If students don't understand the basic principles America was founded on, they may make political decisions that are not in their own best interests, or even inadvertently break laws. The votes of those who don't know America's past may steer our country down a dangerous road. We need to fix this, Ford, to help students understand that the past is just as important as the present. Since we've read the manual and know how to fix the issues, we can begin to reform the way we teach kids. The transition to a stronger curriculum can be smoothed by changing the oil, or adding more questioning and critical thinking to help students' minds better process the lessons of history. In middle and high school, history is usually taught as a collection of tests and assessments. It's taught in a very general, factual way. The Washington Post states that all history courses should be taught like good college history courses, where students are asked to engage with the material and people instead of simply memorizing lots of facts. The final component to tuning up this Ford is putting in new spark plugs and engaging students with the history curriculum. As I described earlier, history without humanity is dull and flat. It doesn't have any spark. Engagement makes students truly apply themselves to the study of history, instilling passion for learning in students like a spark plug that creates a small yet mighty spark needed to ignite the combustion engine. We need to dust off an old Ford car to find out what the problems are. Read the manual to learn how to fix those problems, and tune it up to make it run like it once did. It takes time, energy, and plenty of elbow grease to fix an old car, but with enough effort, it'll run like new again. History is not bunk. History forms and guides the present, a valuable reference for us and for future generations. A knowledge of history can allow people to recognize oppression, tyranny, and violations of human rights, and work to protect freedom for everyone. The youngest generations have the greatest obligation of all to preserve history. We are the hope for the world, and soon we will be guiding it. It's our responsibility to preserve and learn from our shared past. we still need to raise awareness and change the way history is taught. With determination and knowledge, we can bring history back to the people.